Hi everybody, we're here to visit Brett Miyahara this week. Hi Fred. So we're in your backyard. This is his immediate backyard. It's a nice, it looks like a beautiful Zen garden here. Look at this. I'm jealous. I could stay hours here. And this is only the beginning. So Fred, you want to talk about this backyard here? This is really Zen-like backyard.
Yeah, well, it's not Zen, but we call it a kare-sansui, which is devoid of water and plants. It's just a dry garden mainly. So originally we had a waterfall that came down and meandered over there, and it kept overflowing. We had problem with the pump. We had problem with the flow of the water and things like that. So a couple years ago, we had it all jackhammered out. All the concrete was taken out, and then the stones were repositioned, and gravel was brought in. And then my wife still wanted some running water, so we made a scuba type of basin over there that has a little chosen bachi made out of feather rock, and so we have some running water.
I love that sound in the background. It's just really tranquil.
And so then we converted this area. Originally we only had 3 stands back here. Then we added 3 more, and then I think we added 5 more. So this is kind of where I have a lot of my trees. 4 of these are from, I purchased from Mr. Miyata, Kenji Miyata, when he was in Visalia. So I have a couple of nanas, and I have a couple of Japanese black pines. This Itoigawa is a gift from Kenji,
So
long time ago.
a little bit bigger than a shohin.
Yeah, a little bit bigger. It's a chuhin. Most of my trees are chuhin. So, and then I grafted this tosho onto a San Jose. It's a needle juniper.
So what's the difference of tosho versus like a femina? Because they look very similar.
Yeah, well, right behind you is a
Femina. Okay.
So you could kind of see the difference. It's the tosho is a little coarser.
Really?
A lot more pokier, and a lot more stiffer, and a lot more ouchier. And,
the needle wise.
yeah, and it's thicker, it's coarser, and then femina is much smaller and softer. Actually, everybody says how bad the femina is.
Okay, so this is a femina, and this is a beautiful femina, by the way. It's a good size too.
This is one. Very seldom do you get some with some movement like this. Most of them are straight up and down.
Chokan usually.
Chokan type, and I took a workshop with Michael Sykes in Riverside a few years back, and luckily I got the #1 pick, so I took that.
All his trees are beautiful though, whatever he works on. I mean, he just puts
Yeah.
that time. So this is much softer compared to tosho.
Yes, yes. Yeah, a lot easier to work with, not as quite as pokey. And
It's much, I have it, but my needles are never this refined. So you must take some time to go back and then pat them out.
yeah, not. I don't have to do it too often. This one we have to do more often.
Really?
Yeah, that one.
So this is
usually
stiffer.
stays- Yeah, it's a little stiffer.
I think-
hurts more too.
I think the needles are longer,
They grow longer, yeah. So they have to keep cutting them back.
but they're still both considered what we call like needle junipers, correct?
Correct.
So they're within the same family group.
Yes. And then.
Oh, the colors are different.
Yeah, well, there's 4 different kinds of toshos from Japan. So this is just one variety. So it's got more of a silver look to it.
Uh-huh.
That one has more of a greenish yellow look. This was
The big California.
California that I had we're not mentioning any names here. We had a well-known artist style it, and unfortunately the bottom branch to your left side.
Oh no.
It was supposed to be a big branch. So it's going to be restyled.
Natural foliage on it, it looks
Yes,
like.
natural foliage. So that was a gift from a good friend of mine, Frank Koge, who passed away. He was a pine guy and designed a lot of Japanese gardens and so forth. So
Beautiful movement on that.
in exchange for pruning 30 or 40 of his yard pine, I was given that. So, and then when he contracted cancer and passed away, just before that, I bought this.
The California.
California was actually, he designed it as a cascade, and I grafted the kishus on there. That's why it was kind of a memorial tree for me, and so I told him I would like something of his, and so we went ahead and I purchased that tree. Glenn Jensen told him that with all the work I did for Frank, he should have given it to me. Anyway, just before he passed away, he told me I could have the tree, but his son said he had already cashed a check and wasn't going to give it back. So, and this tree, well, it's kind of in a poor shape right now, but this was a tree that was given to me by Sammy Lee from Kauai, Hawaii. And when I got it, it had like 2 leaves on it.
Just 2 leaves?
2 leaves. Everything was a stump, just a big stump. So it's been in Golden Statements in the cover and in several places now. And so Sammy's grandson had a very hard heart problem when he was born. And so he was rushed from Kauai to Honolulu, and then from Honolulu he happened to see a cardiologist from Rady's Children's Hospital, and he came and they life-flighted him to Rady's Children's Hospital. He had several operations in San Diego, so while they were here, I loaned Sam's son and daughter-in-law a car so they could use while they were at
where were they here?
They were here from, I think, July till September.
Wow, that's a long time.
So anyway, they had several surgeries, and so as a thank you, Sam sent that to me. He said they had dug up about 60 in a plantation. And this, he said, you don't like big ones, so this is the smallest one we have.
The small.
He sent it to me, and so
I like, and it's a beautiful color too. It's that purplish red, like the Santa Barbara red almost, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's purple pixie, but it's not quite purple. But anyway, when it's in full bloom, it's beautiful. So.
What is one technique for the bougainvillea to make a flower? Because a lot of our viewers, a lot of the members are having issues of keeping the shape, but they won't flower, and then some people flower, but the shape is totally off. How do you keep that balance?
Well, they like a lot of nitrogen for one thing. So about 6 weeks to 8 weeks before show, I start heavily fertilizing it with a nitrogen-based fertilizer.
Okay.
And in about 6 to 7 weeks, they usually fully bloom. I know Pedro Morales said just to don't water it, and it stretches it out and it flowers.
The stress or
I've never used that technique, so I've always just
heavy fertilize it.
Yeah, I just kind of fertilize it like once every month and a half until then, and then when I do that, and then lately, last year, one of my old students got this thing called Bogain. And so it's a bougainvillea fertilizer. I think it's like 16.97 or something like that. So it is high in nitrogen. And I put that on last year, and this thing was just covered with flowers.
Oh, so
they sell it at Home Depot. So if you're interested in that. So anyway, this is I do a lot of grafting. So this needle juniper was grafted. This was grafted, I think, in 1991 with Mr. Ishii, Mas Ishii at Shikogoen. And so I did that.
How did you get into bonsais, Fred? You remember?
Yeah. One of my really good friends who used to live in Merced decided to move to Florida with his brother. And he was in our wedding party. So he was leaving in November, and so he came here as an anniversary present. He bought us a bonsai tree. I don't know how to do anything, but I still have it. But it's
Oh, you still have your first tree?
Yeah, it's pretty. But it's November 1988. So I joined San Diego Club in February '89, and
Thanks. And then that's all. Rest is history now, isn't it?
yeah. Well, and I had a chance to study with Mr. Ishii, so I studied with Mr. Ishii from 1991 until 1997.
And that's when you were living in San Diego.
Yes.
So you drove up every
month.
Wow.
Only missed 2 months out of 7 years.
Wow.
So.
That's dedication, people. I like it. I wish I had the dedication to do that too.
So this was a tree that, this is also a tosho. This is a natural tosho.
So what's the difference on natural tosho versus the other one?
Grafted one?
Yeah.
That one was grafted.
So
this one is on its own.
On its own rootstock and
Yeah.
base. So what's different? Is it weaker, stronger compared to it's a grafted tree?
No, it's not. This is a gift from Glenn Jensen, and with the stipulation that I give it to Michael Sykes when I'm done with it. So originally I had given Frank Koget, the gentleman that did California, I gave him about 5 of them, and so he had them in the ground, and so Glenn bought this, I think, for $65 or $70 about 10 years ago, and then Kenji Miyata's been working on it. It was really beautiful when I got it, but it needs to be pruned again. So, and then these are 2 nanas that I bought from Mr. Miyata.
They're just beautiful. I love your stands. I wish I had, trees this well manicured to like display.
They're not too bad.
I mean, the setting's beautiful. This is probably one of my favorite gardens I've visited so far.
So this is my tea garden here. So it also has a copper spout.
Right off the office.
Yeah, right off the TV room. But so every garden that was designed in this house was designed so that we would be able to see it from inside the house.
Ah.
So the bedroom's there. The bedroom can see the dry garden. Originally, it was supposed to see the regular garden, but we changed it. And then the tea garden, you can see it from the television room. So.
Okay, you have to talk about your fence because this fence is immaculate.
Oh, well, we have several fences. My friend and partner, he was my student, but now I'm his student. He went to Japan. When he was at UCSD, and he was at Tsukuba University. And so while he was there, I arranged for him to go to Adachi Gardens in Shimane, Shimane Prefecture. And he did so well during spring break that the head gardener invited him back in June after school was over to do the pine pruning, candle cutting. And when he came back to San Diego, he finished out his degree, and he said, I don't want to do bonsai anymore.
Really?
And he was my student, and so he said, I want to learn how to build Japanese gardens.
Oh, the horticultural end of it.
Yeah. So anyway, he tried for about a year, and with a name like Dalton, it was really hard for him to get an apprenticeship. He wrote to several places in Kyoto. He reads and writes, speaks fluent Japanese.
Oh, wow.
So it was no problem for him in that respect. But anyway, I talked to Sachi Aoyama, who was a student of Dennis Makishima's, and she had gone to this man Naoya Suzuki's place in Shimane, and I'm sorry, not in Shimane, in Shizuoka, and so we were going in 2007 to the International Japanese Garden Symposium. So she helped us arrange an interview for Avram to go study, and he was accepted, and because he's so good in Japanese and could read and write and everything, so Mr. Suzuki agreed to take him. So he went in February of 2008, and he was there until I think June or July of 2010, and probably would have stayed longer, except that Mr. Suzuki decided to pare down his business and found out later that he had cancer. So, and he died shortly after that. So the fence, these are different techniques. That the fence over there was just redone. It was done with bamboo, and anyway, so it's a, I don't know all the names of the.
But it's the same, the weaving. It's a weaving pattern.
Correct. So, and then normally he uses that almost the same weave with bamboo for this fence, but he couldn't get bamboo big enough and thin enough because most of the bamboo we get in America is from China, so their walls are much fatter than the ones from Japan. So he couldn't do that. So he experimented with redwood, and he put this on to every other slat, and it worked. So he now uses it in his business. So it's really kind of nice. It's just a partition to
Separate
keep
the two
bedroom
rooms.
from this right. And so Mr. Suzuki was maybe either the number one or number two guy in building stone walls. And so Avram Dalton, who is my partner now and is my teacher, built this stone wall, and then he used smaller slatted redwood for the back.
It's really intricate, but it's so simplistic. That's good. That took him a while to get down.
So he's really, really good with rock work. So they just got done doing a $500,000 job up in Woodside.
That's really cool. I like the when I go to.
So, and then the fence was all bamboo at one time. It was a very original bamboo fence, but it started deteriorating, so he used redwood slats, and because it'll last longer. So, and it didn't make that much of a difference for the tea garden. So, anyway, but that's it.
You got your nursery now.
Yeah. So this is
I like Frankel. Yeah.
my nursery. This is I do have some semi-finished or finished trees. So I have a couple more memorial trees. The Shinpaku was a gift from Reiko Ishii, because I wanted to buy one for my former teacher, and that was a gift from her. So that was really nice. And then I have another tosho that's grafted onto San Jose over there. And then this is all pretty much my shohin things.
I see a lot of people are going to shohin now. As the more mature we get a little smarter.
Yeah. So I'd like, Mr. Ishii's tree or the one next to it. That would be like my biggest tree from now on. So I'm not going to do any more big trees. But this is a Itoigawa I grafted and was styled by Mauro Stenberger. And this was one.
Oh, that's a crazy looking pot.
Yeah, a friend of mine in St. Louis, he used to be the president of St. Louis Bonsai Club, made that specially. So, and unfortunately, he passed away with Alzheimer's quite a few years ago. So, never got that. This Shinpaku I did in like 1990. It was one of the very first.
Where's your first tree?
Oh,
we have to see your first tree.
It's pretty sad.
No, it's not sad because my first tree. Lindsay actually bought back my first tree and he sold it.
Oh. Well, this is my first tree.
It's not sad. Okay, that's not a sad tree. It still looks good. It still looks better than what I had.
So this is 1988. So in November it'll be 32 years old.
And you didn't graft it. You kept it.
I didn't graft it.
You kept it original.
I kept it original. Yeah. So.
I'm very surprised you kept it original.
So all these trees here have been grafted. I have a couple of tanukis. For those who don't know what tanukis are, they're phoenix grafts. So like this one was grafted, that one was grafted, this one, the first 4 here are grafted. So, and then these are all grafted. And this one is a tanuki, so it's a fake.
but it
I had this old
deadwood.
tanuki, tosho from that I purchased in Japan. Not supposed to say that, I guess. Anyway, it died, and so this is the needle juniper.
You purchased a deadwood from Japan. It's
No.
okay.
Well, it wasn't deadwood. And so this is another tanuki. I don't know what this was. This is some kind of juniper.
That's good movement on that one.
So anyway, this is still has the thing down here.
Well, what's your take on tanuki? You're okay with it? I see. Some people are like curious. They're like, we can't have tanukis, but I think it's, you know.
It was just they're just fun things for me to play with. I don't have any. I don't think they're not accepted as bonsai. I would never show it as a bonsai.
But it's a fun project.
It's a fun little project to do. Yeah, I mean, I had some old, nice trees that died, so I used them. I know they do with Californians quite a bit. So and that's just my.
You're growing.
Yeah, and then over there's a bunch of accent plants. And this is original or native tosho. The same as in the front.
Okay.
And so this grew to be about 8 feet tall. Maybe not 8 feet, maybe 7 feet. So this is the bottom, and the top is over there. Was air layered.
Air layered.
Yeah.
That was the top, and that was the bottom.
So these are all Chinese elms I purchased, and then these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are toshos that I grafted. This one's really interesting because I purchased this Virginia Anna juniper, and so I didn't know whether the Virginia Anna juniper would take tosho, but it did, and it's going to turn out to be pretty nice. So. And then I have my pines, so there's 4 pines there, and then all my pines.
Oh, yeah, pines. I didn't notice you had more pines over here.
Yeah, so they're all different.
I see you water everything by hand too.
Yes, yeah, almost every day.
And if you go on vacation, Trish watches.
I usually have either Avram or one of my old students will come over and water for me.
You have the luxury of students.
And then these are all different varieties of tosho. So this one is native juniper, but it's very different. And then this is one that's this is the normal one, but this is different. This is different, and this is different.
Oh, the foliage are all slightly different.
Yeah, and then this is an American. This is actually a Juniper Sujita. So that's a needle juniper, American needle juniper that I grafted onto a San Jose a long time ago. This is the first one I tried.
And it took.
Yeah, it took. And then this is another one. These are all, I think this one might have been, I bought the tree from Mr. Ikeda. And I air layered a piece off of here and then grafted it.
So if people don't understand, what is the advantage of grafting? Because you graft. I know you're one of the master grafters we have here. What is the advantage of grafting? People don't understand what grafting does.
Well, there's a couple things you could do. You can graft to improve your foliage structure. That's one thing. Or you can graft onto materials so that these things are pretty rare. They're hard to get toshos. So a lot of people wanted toshos, so I graft onto either Postrados or San Jose's.
So it's a way to propagate and it's a way to really change the foliage if you don't have it.
And then, Michael Sykes was kind of a master at the femina, and he kind of became the femina master. So he asked me if I would graft the femina onto a San Jose. So I told, and so I put two grafts in this femina, and they both took. So one is now a side branch, and one is the main branch.
Oh wow!
So they both grew out of the same slot because You know, well, if you know anything about grafting, when they cut a slit here, it's so wide that I put two small feminas
And
on
it
either
fit.
side, and both of them took. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a luxury you have when you get lucky. So.
There you go, people. If you need a graph.
And then this is the
Tool
top
shop.
of that other. Yeah, they need to be wired, structured whenever I have time. So, and then I have a bunch of junk, but this is.
This is
all
not
of-
junk.
All of it is junk. But anyway, this last week I had bought this Bigay pot from Garrett Ryan. I've never seen a blue Bigay pot. But
Oh,
this
that's a Bigay?
Yeah.
A blue one that's glazed.
Yeah. So anyway, I pictured having this. I wanted to make a Shohin ficus. So I've been doing a lot of Burt Davy eyes. So most of them are Burt Davy
On the
eyes.
top.
There's a couple Benjaminas and there's one Willow, but all the rest are Burt Davy eyes. So what I do is, this one was in a big container like this, and it grew, and the branches were maybe this long, and so I just cut it down, defoliated it, and potted it. I did the same with these two.
And when's a good time to do that?
Right now.
Right now?
Right now. Yeah.
Hot and humid.
Hot, yeah. So this is another one. So what I do is I plant these in the ground, and then when they come out, I take every piece of foliage, all the branches off. So all I have is a stump. So normally they start out kind of like this after the stump.
Just and
And so yeah, there was nothing on here. It was just a big stump. So now I can figure out what to do. Unfortunately, it didn't grow there, so I'm going to have to make a kind of short, squatty, little fat sumo guy. So I would take a bunch of branches off and then just select the ones that I want. They're easy. You can make cuttings. This is actually a cutting. I want to make a semi-cascade out of, so cut it from one of those big guys.
is that a Burt Davy Nana or no? That's
No.
just a regular Burt Davy.
This is Burt Davy eye. They're all Burt Davy eye. So, but I wish I could find nanas, but you know, I know Gary Lau has really small ones. But this is a cutting. So this is also going to be a Shohin.
Oh, you're going that direction. You're being smart. You're being
well,
smart.
I always liked Shohin because I studied with Mr. Ishii.
Oh, and then
So, you know, so this is going to be a mame.
what's a mame? People may not know sizes by name.
Mame is like less than 6 inches.
Wow.
So it's a
It's smaller than Shohin.
Subspecies of a Shohin, yes. So normally it's 4 to 6 inches, I think, is the height. Don't hold me to that. So anyway, I have a couple Benjaminas, and then I have just assortment. I have a table vine.
Hollywood juniper.
A couple of these junipers. This one I bought in at Gardena at the Daiichi Bonsai show, and I was thinking of making a chokan with a needle juniper.
Oh, you're gonna graft onto it.
Yeah, and then this one too.
So that's the benefit of learning how to graft. You get to really use a variety of material.
One of the things is like I was given these trees. To give you an example, I was given this tree, and it was like, who would do anything with a tree like this? I mean, it was like had nothing. So I put 4 grafts on, and I think all 4 of them have taken. So now I can pretty much have this as the apex and have this number 1, number 2, kind of number 3, and this, and I cut it all off, and I have at least some semblance of a tree, where obviously this thing, nobody would have wanted this.
So grafting, heavy branch bending, and air laying is really a skill that everybody needs to kind of learn to really advance that skill.
It's not that hard, but anyway, I bought this tree from Jim Barrett, and I think he was selling these for the club for $75. So I bought this because I liked in the body here. but this thing was this tall. So I just cut it, and then now I'm going to graft it. I tried this last year, it didn't take, so I have to try again. But I don't always succeed. But I'll take a piece of foliage from here, and I'll put it here, and then I'll have a very short shohin type tree. So this is another one that was nobody wanted, obviously. I mean, it looks like a pretty ugly tree. So I put 2 grafts on it, and so I put this one and this one. So
And it took.
they both took, yeah. So I'm kind of happy with this because I did this the Tom Wong method. So.
Oh, with the zip tie.
Yeah. So when I did this is a cork bark. Same thing. So I did his technique. I tried to do, this was an experiment that I just did, was taking the bud. He told me to take a bud and do it, and I didn't exactly know, but then he did a workshop or a demo for Baikoen, and so I watched it on YouTube. And so I kind of figured out what he was doing, so I did this as an experiment. So I think it took. But.
I think it took, especially if we're in August and it is looking good. You know, it probably took.
So this is also this is a corkbark pine, and this is a corkbark pine. So normally it's really hard to get corkbark pine. So a friend of mine was pruning his corkbark, and so I asked him if he could save me.
There are not many left in Southern Cal. There's only like 3 people that I know that has corkbark pines.
So the garden, I mean, Safari Park has a real nice one that I used to work on with a fellow named Charlie Tan. He passed away. And so he had given, his wife had given one of our friends one of the corkbark pines. He donated one for Safari Park. And so when my friend was pruning it, I asked him if he could save it and not cut it off until January. And then to cut it off in January, then I'll use them. So I had 3 of them, and I put 1 on each one, and I had 2 out of 3 take. So
I like it.
It makes it okay. So, yeah. So anyway, this is all pines and ficus.
Future bonsai.
Yeah, 3 bonsai. Well, these are.
Well, they're pretty close.
They'll be ready in about 2 more years, I think. So we'll see.
I know you had a sale almost like, what was that, 3 years ago? You had the last sale.
Yeah.
See, Fred got rid of stuff, and now he's getting more stuff.
So this is these are all porcelain berries. So here.
They grow like weeds, don't they?
Yeah, they are weeds.
They're invasive, aren't they?
They're invasive weeds. I asked Nursery if they could propagate these for me, and they said no, it's against the law.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're that invasive.
That invasive. So you can see there's one here that has a color.
Let me look at closely.
So blue.
And that turns blue to white or white to blue?
Blue to white.
Blue to white, that's right. Okay.
So it goes green to purple
to blue
to white. I just thought they were all different colors, but they're not. It's just a cycle of the coloring. So here's one
that's white.
That's white.
There you go.
Anyway, here's one that's blue.
They don't grow very rigorously, too. I mean, they don't thicken up because they're a vine, probably.
Yeah. So anyway, I do these every year. I sell them. They bloom in September, and so our show is in the last weekend of September. So they're all full of berries.
Oh.
So everybody wants to buy them.
And your show, and the San Diego show was the virtual show was online. If people did not get to see that.
Correct, and I don't think we're going to have the way it looks. I don't think we're going to have a show in
September.
Yeah. So
that's
anyway,
unfortunate.
This is another tree that I grafted.
That's a tosho.
Yeah, it was a gift from Brian Jackson, John Jackson's younger brother. And it was a variegated San Jose, so people don't like those. In fact, 2 of the Shinkakus that I grafted were variegated San Jose, so it had that yellow virus. And so a lot of people said, oh, that's not good for bonsai. So
You grafted onto it, no one ever would know the wiser.
And you know, John Jackson said to me, there's a place that has real old variegated San Jose's for fairly cheap. I think around $10, $12 back in the early 90s. And so I went and I bought like 5 or 6 of them. They became pretty much the mainstays of the original Shimpakus that I grafted. And so this was a variegated San Jose, so nobody wanted it, so I grafted.
Well, someone wants it now, I guarantee you.
So then I keep all my moss here. I try to do moss.
You're a Renaissance man. You do everything.
Well, you know, I don't know. Well, I've been trying to grow Princess Persimmon. That's been my pursuit, but I haven't been very good at that. I can't get them to flower and to fruit.
Well, I haven't gotten luck, but it's age. It's usually around the year 7, year 8, year 9. That's when they start first to flower.
Well,
Fruiting.
the thing that's really funny was last year I was given Princess Persimmon by Bill Castellan, and he said if you do a root cutting, it's much better than a regular cutting. So I did a root cutting, and it grew, and last year I had one
fruit?
persimmon.
Yay!
And then this year it had like 24, but they're all falling off. I don't know what's causing it. They just all of the ones that I see little.
That's interesting. But then they're green too, right? They're green and falling off?
Green, yeah.
Oh.
And so I think I have about 4 left that's still on there. So hopefully, and then I propagate. I just propagate. So this is like a different kind of tosho. Obviously, you can see that.
Oh, that's a much like puffy.
Yeah. There was one over there that was the same, and then this is the regular tosho.
That puffy one's really unique.
Yeah. So people like to see this one, and then the silver one. It's kind of rare. Kenji said both of these are not very good to use for bonsai because they don't come out and they're not.
They don't ramify well.
Yeah, they're not hardened off like this one. So.
You can't pat them.
This I bought kind of, I guess, for the club. I bought a whole flat of nanas, and so I repotted it and grown them. Probably gonna donate them to the club or something for one of their beginner workshops.
Well, more porcelain berry. They're all.
More porcelain berries. Yeah, more porcelain berries.
They probably sell well. I'll guarantee you that.
Yep. So then I have Scheffleras. I've been trying to do Scheffleras. I want to try to find some feather rocks, and there was a
What's feather rock?
feather rock is it's a lightweight rock.
Not like pumice, right?
No, it's not. It's let's see. This is feather rock. It's very light.
Oh, it's pumice. It's a different type of pumice.
It's like this. You sort of clean
Yeah.
the stove. Kind of stuff. Yeah, so you could carve this. In fact, our water feature is a big
Oh, really?
feather rock
Oh.
stone. Yeah. So we're gonna maybe saw these off and make some miniature, and then I'm gonna do some root over rock for the Schefflera. And there's a guy, I think his name Fujimoto or something like that, or Fujikawa, in the Big Island, and he features the Schefflera on lava rock.
Huh.
So trying to mimic him.
In a Southern California, huh?
Copying this biggest form of flattery, right?
Oh, yes. Watch the hose there, Fred.
So then I have some other stuff, this is a Mia tree from Puerto Rico I got from Weigert's. I also got a Primna from Weigert's. Anyway, and these are all Tosho.
Have you been to
cuttings.
Weigert's before?
No.
Oh, you have to visit them.
Really?
Yeah.
In Florida.
Yes, I had a chance, and it's 7 acres of just pure product.
Oh, really? So this is one of the ficus that it was just a cutting that I did.
Okay, why does that have, so the ficus have fruit?
Yeah, well, this one does, the David Eye does. Yeah,
And I wonder, is it pollinated by a wasp, or is it by a was it a moth? Because I've been reading, you know, some that when they do fruit, they need something to pollinate.
Huh, I don't know. They just appear.
Or maybe this is a female.
Yeah. Could be, I don't know. So, and this is a, what the heck is this?
I don't know, but it looks really cool.
Honeysuckle.
That's a honeysuckle?
Honeysuckle, yeah. I like the deadwood, and there's a little sprout growing. So
How's the honeysuckle with deadwood? Is it soft? Is it hard?
I think it's
Okay.
yeah, it's okay. Not very hard. But so anyway, something to play with. So. Anyway, so that's the yard. This is a Japanese wisteria that I bought from Kathy, the lady from Gilroy,
Uh-huh.
who shows up at the Shohin.
Is that the one that does not flower very often?
It has never flowered, she said.
It's supposed to be like the
50
miniature.
In 50 years, she said it's never flowered.
Oh, there's the name for that one.
So, well, they called it a Japanese dwarf wisteria. The name is Wisteria Kofuji.
Yes, that's it. I saw a couple for sale and I was like, what is this? And then some people were saying that it flowers once every 100 years or something. No one can get it to flower.
Yeah, well, I have not gotten it. I've had it for, let's see, that was not this year, not in 2018. So 2016, I've had it since 2016. It hasn't even come close to flower. So anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to put accelerators, some kind of not rooting hormone, but a hormone to
Accelerate
make
the
it
flower
Yeah.
and nothing.
Yeah, I put a lot of superphosphate thing, and it hasn't done anything. So. And then we have everybody has pots, so everybody has pots. So we have, this is my Shohin pot normally. And
I like how we always have more pots than trees.
well, you always have to have a lot of pots so that, and then you go and look and you still don't.
You don't have the right
match.
pot still.
You still have to go out and buy one, so. But I knew when I bought that one from Garrett on that Bigay, I knew that I wanted to put it into that.
It was very unique. I mean,
Yeah.
how many times did you glazed Bigay?
Yeah. So I couldn't believe it when he told me that, so.
Let's go to your front. I love your front too. We'll end there.
So this is all
Pots.
And then pots over there too. And these are this.
They're pots.
And then this is soil.
Ah,
Over here, akadama.
this is where you store it. That's a lot of akadama you use. If you need akadama, you know who to ask. You guys, who's your source in San Diego?
I don't have one. Well, there's a guy, Tim Wah, that belongs to the club. I think he gets his akadama from David.
I said everybody's
And
still
so
from
he
David and
sells
June.
it. Yeah. So I used to get it from June and David, but most of my students like the pre-mix stuff.
Oh, why waste your own time when someone can make it for you and pay a little extra?
So, well, they pay quite a bit more extra. Well, it wasn't that much more, except that I went to Jonas to Peach, and it was like $40.
Oh wow!
A bag, but people said they wanted it, so I got it from him and ordered 10 bags, and
They like the pre-mixed stuff, huh?
everybody liked it, so I ordered 10 more. So we're thinking about Doyle Saito and I are thinking about maybe going up to Alameda.
Picking some
And-
soil.
and, yeah, and getting a whole pallet so we could get a discount or whatever. So we'll see. So
I like
then
mixing my own soil. I don't know about you people.
Oh, yeah.
I like the extra work, you save what, $1?
Yeah. So if your time is worth 50 cents an hour.
And this is Fred's front yard. I don't know how many people have bonsais in the front yard, but Fred has bonsai in the front yard, and it's a beautiful wall.
I've only had 2 bonsai stolen in 30 since I was
We'll knock on some wood, Fred. We gotta keep that luck going there.
So this is we planted the privet around the perimeter, and so the stone wall is all the stepping stones that were in the back. and now into this wall.
Look how beautiful this wall is. It's like a crescent moon that's backfilled. And it was, who did it's not Jim Doyle? No. What's
No,
the student's name again?
Avram Dalton.
Look, I'll zoom into this one. Look how intricate that wall is. That's just amazing. Is it concreted or is it just dry stacked with the
With mortar.
mortar? Oh, so it is cemented in.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, look at so.
And this is a tree that, this is a heritage tree given to me by Harry Hurao.
Oh, there's a hairy tree.
Yeah. And Mauro Stemberger did all the carving and whatnot on it. So.
I miss
Very
Harry.
interesting because he said that the foliage was, he thought it was grafted, and I said, no, it's California foliage.
But it's one of those rare.
Yeah, it's really tight. So,
Okay, that's my finger, and it's really it is natural because it's that puffy. It's
he wanted it to grow out a little more before he wired it. So.
It looks like Kishu, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. It acts like Kishu. So somebody said it's a female, so I don't know.
And you
That's
got
why they say it's tighter.
a boogie there, a big boogie.
Yeah, this was a friend of mine. Unfortunately, he just passed away a couple months ago with I can't remember now. He had some kind of sickness
Oh.
and Parkinson's. And this was in his neighbor's yard. So he called me and said, hey, you want to come and dig up this bougainvillea?
Of course,
Okay.
right? Free tree, right? Well, you can't say
Yeah.
no. And then you got
And
your
thi-
wisteria.
This is an old wisteria. And then this
Was
is...
that in the? Wasn't that over there, over in the front before? Or no, I was thinking something else.
No, it's always been over here. And then this is Tyler found this at the Baikoen. You know where it was? It was a tried maple with traction houses. And it was just a stump.
It's still a stump. I love it though.
It's still a stump, yeah. So
But he
we're
probably got a deal off it, I bet.
So it was in the raffle, and so he won it, and so he said, what's going to happen, Grandpa? He said, there's no leaves or nothing on there. I said, well, hopefully it'll grow. So he's been happy since it came up. So I told him we're going to leave the top growing.
Let it grow
so
out.
We're going to try to clean up that wound over there and see if it'll fill in.
Has the wisteria ever bloomed?
One last year, not this year, but last year it bloomed. But this year it didn't bloom. So they say every other year, so hopefully that's true.
That's in a pot, so yeah, we're having a debate how to make potted trees bloom, especially the wisteria, because a lot of people have different. Like some people said, let it dry out all the way. Some people said drown it, and some people like feed it to death. I kind of went, I don't know, people.
So this is a Toshio that was in the ground for I think 7 years. We just dug it up this year. So I'm going to air layer two pieces off of here, and because it's too tall and no taper, so I'm going to try to air layer two pieces off of here. This is one of my clients' bougainvillea. I think it was originally from Miami Tropical, and it used to be Dave DeGroat's, and
It's beautiful
I
color.
went to go repot it, and it looked really sickly. So I suggested to my client that I bring it here, and then he said it was in a huge pot. So I told him it was oversized, and I said, I think I have a pot that will fit. Well, when I got it here, I had to take at least 50% of the root ball away. So anyway,
But it looks healthy now.
yeah, it survived, and it's doing okay. So probably go back to his house soon. I know Kathy Egger wanted it to be donated to Safari Park.
Wow.
But anyway, it fits now. I mean, it looks okay. The trunk is so big, and
It's massive. I think it's I like it, but
so my client was from Seattle, and so he moved down to San Diego, and so he traded a hemlock.
because it won't go in and
Yeah, it won't grow here. So he traded one hemlock to Dave, and Dave traded this bougainvillea, which he said never bloomed in Federal Way
Really?
in Washington,
Because it's too cold.
and too wet, I guess. So. Anyway, so that you know, so he got that, and then one of the hemlocks went to the Weyerhaeuser for their collection. So
Sweet.
Pacific Rim. And then this is a signature pine that I got from Frank Koger. And so this is the original one, and then Avram did all the stonework. There are a couple stones there that are kind of nostalgic that was given to me by certain people. So I had it incorporated into
And that's
the
new,
design.
correct? That's new. That
No.
The tree was there, but not the stonework wasn't
The
there before.
stonework was done when this stonework was done. So, and so, you know, the Japanese, they usually plant things, you know, for their children and whatnot. So this grafted Shinpaku
Oh, hitting the corner here.
is for my number one grandson.
Oh,
And in October, he'll be 23 years old.
23.
So that's 23 years old. That was planted 12 years ago.
Oh, the wisteria?
For my other grandson who's in the house. And then this Itoigawa that I grafted, I planted when my granddaughter was born. So she'll be 20
Over here.
in October. So,
Oh, wow.
so those are my
Grandchildren trees.
grandchildren trees. Yeah.
All right, Fred, before we wrap this up, one or two tips for new beginners or new members?
Find a good teacher.
Yeah, there you go. That's number one.
That's, you know, and you have to do hands-on. I mean, you just really have to work on your own. Not on your own, but, you know, you have to do it with yourself. There's so much you can read in the books. There's so much you can get from the internet and whatnot like that. But if you're a pure beginner, it just really is important to have a mentor. And I was really fortunate that I had Mas Ishii for 7 years to work with, and he emphasized more the horticulture part rather than the design part. Made it much easier for me to work. And then, of course, then I studied with Ernie Kuo and Boone, Kathy Shaner, Dennis Makishima, Bill Castellan, some just to do black pines. And then, of course, I had the good fortune of having Kenji Miyata come here in 2000. And Denny Roach had me translate for him when he visited Southern California. And we just became really good friends. And so since then, I've been studying with him.
Oh.
And he's a pine expert, obviously, so he's terrific with everything. So.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good message. You know, find a good master and learn under and keep learning. I think that's the
Yeah.
key. Thank you, Fred, for your time today.
Thank you.
I can't say any more.
Okay.
We'll be back in San Diego one day, but you know what? Thank you so much.
Okay.